In yesterday's game against the San Francisco 49ers, the Seattle Seahawks just straight up dominated. I mean, this was one of the best games I had seen on tape from the Seahawks, and it pretty much started right away with this 95-yard kick return touchdown by Rashid Shaheed. And today we're going to talk about all these different plays. We're going to get into the tape. We'll talk offensive guys, some defensive guys, but I want to start right away, and we're going to break down this kick return because this isn't just a random play, a random, guy just kind of gets lucky. This is by design. And again, this kind of goes back to the coaching staff and how incredibly well coached this team is. If you guys keep an eye on fullback Brady Russell, he's basically pulling and trapping this 49ers defender. And what ends up happening is you get a bunch of seal blocks by these guys. And you can see the lane just opens up perfectly between the seal blocks and the kick out block by that fullback. And you basically are running power on a kick return. Think about how crazy that is. But this is how the Seattle Seahawks have been kind of running these things over the course of the season. And truth be told, I've watched some of the other returns just to kind of get ready for this video, and they didn't run this concept specifically. They tried some things where they tried like reaching guys and trying opening up lanes. I didn't see this play specifically. I'm not saying they didn't run it this season. I'm sure they did at some point, but it was a really nice job to call at the perfect moment. I'm sure the Seahawks planned this play 95 yards just like that. And what's crazy is this flips the entire momentum. It's a team that already had the momentum kind of coming in, but you absolutely get the momentum, and this is something that you're going to notice over the course of this video. So many guys flip the momentum. Ernest Jones flipped the momentum super early on in the game, and the guy had a phenomenal game. 51 total snaps this guy played. He had 6 tackles. He had a forced fumble and an interception, and the guy was just wrecking havoc out there. The first forced fumble that he essentially forced, the score at this point was 10-0. And the Seahawks ended up getting the ball after this play by Ernest Jones, and they basically scored a touchdown on this drive. And keep in mind, they had short field position. So they ended up going up 17-0 early on in the game, literally in the first quarter. You have Rashid Shaheed running it back for a touchdown. You have Ernest Jones forcing a fumble. Essentially gets the Seahawks a short position, and they end up scoring a touchdown on this drive. 17-0. I mean, that is hard for any team to recover. That too, a team that's on the road. The 49ers, of course. To me, just a really nice job by Ernest Jones. And again, this guy deserves a lot of credit because, the Seahawks made that trade, I believe it was last season. I believe they gave up Jerome Baker, and I believe they gave up a pick as well for Ernest Jones. So people were kind of questioning the decision to bring in Jones, but the guy's been very solid this season, even last season. And again, sometimes guys like McDonald, they just know which guys are going to kind of fit their scheme and system. And Ernest Jones, when you need to make a play, he's essentially making these plays, right? He was solid against the run. He actually had 6 tackles. He had the forced fumble. He also had an interception late in the game. And the game was probably over, but one of the things you do have to keep in mind, momentum. It's a huge part of football. In this moment right here, the score is 27-6. It's a 3-possession game, right? 27-6, 3 possessions, 21 points. What's interesting about this moment right here is the 49ers, they start to drive a little bit at the 45-yard line. And Brock Purdy's going to try to check it off, and Ernest Jones jumps in, he intercepts it. Now, the thing with this play is, the 49ers, if there was a point for them to come back, this was the moment right here. 6 minutes left in the third quarter. You score a touchdown here, potentially. It's a 2-possession game. Maybe you force a 3-and-out against the Seahawks. Maybe they get a field goal, but it's not so out of the realm for the 49ers to potentially come back. They're still technically in the game. 27-6, Ernest Jones makes another key play. And to me, this guy deserves a game ball for these plays that he made. He wasn't perfect across the board, right? He wasn't great in every element of the game, but he made 2 game-altering plays. The forced fumble gets you a touchdown because it's a short possession for the offense. And then the interception kind of stops the momentum. Right? The 49ers felt good in that exact moment. They had forced the Seattle Seahawks to a field goal. That's a win for the 49ers, right? You force that field goal, and it's a 3-possession game. Niners could potentially come back. Ernest Jones shuts that down. This guy deserves a game ball. He had such an incredible game yesterday for the Seahawks. He really did impact this game. But as you guys are going to see in this video, multiple guys altered this game. And the next guy that we're going to talk about is going to be Abraham Lucas. This is a guy, if you guys have watched this channel, I've been very high on this guy. He's one of the guys that I had, pretty much from his rookie season, and you guys can go all the way back to the tape. It's still up on this channel. Pretty much from Abe Lucas's rookie season, I said this guy's going to be a potential superstar tackle in the NFL. Now, of course, he had a major knee injury, and that's kind of slowing him down a little bit. And this is really the first year back where he's fully healthy. He had an entire offseason to get healthy and train and get ready for this season. The guy had multiple game-changing type plays, right? And it starts with the 6-yard touchdown. The game was probably over at this point, but it's still a really nice block by Lucas. And it just kind of talks to you guys about just how good of a run blocker this guy is, how smart the processing this guy has is really, really, really incredible. So it's a 6-yard run to the right. He has a kick out block on the edge player, and the edge player is actually going to come off, and instead of staying on the outside, he's going to end up kind of looping back to the inside. Now, I don't know if this guy was dropping back into coverage, but this guy kind of comes to the inside, and Lucas does a phenomenal job recognizing this. He understands who his guy is, and he's going to end up sealing this guy off to the inside. And this is a really smart heads-up play by Lucas, because if he doesn't find this guy could potentially come off and make the play, essentially, right? The thing with this play that I want you guys to think about, we're watching this play in slow motion. So for us, it's like, okay, we see the play, we see what Lucas does, not a big deal. But the thing is Lucas is doing this in real time. He's processing everything that's happening in real time. Like within 1.5 to 2 seconds, he has to make these decisions on who he's going to block. His guy goes inside. Well, should I leave him and maybe kick out another guy, or should I get to this guy and this guy only? And these are the decisions that this guy had to make, and he made it. And the processing is something that Lucas really, really, really excels in. And I want to show you guys a couple more run reps where this guy looked really good. Take this next one. On this one, you're going to get an outside zone to the right side, 6-yard gain on this one, and Lucas does a phenomenal job getting to his linebacker and cutting him off. The thing I like about this play is he has to kind of get skinny to get through the gap initially. He gets to the linebacker, and the other part of this is he does a great job holding his block, right? To me, the grip strength that Abe Lucas has is really good. And that's in both run blocking and pass blocking situations. When this guy gets his hands on that guy as a run blocker or a pass blocker, oftentimes he's shutting down the movement, right? He's shutting down this guy from potentially getting off the block. And again, this is one of the things that I had seen from Lucas early on. When he gets his hands on a guy, he does a really good job holding that guy, right? He does a really good job with the grip strength. And on this one here, it's a really nice 6-yard run. This next play is probably a lot harder for Lucas to get to. It's going to be a 15-yard run. Lucas has a backside block, so it's a very difficult block already kind of in its own right. But he has a little thing he kind of has to do, right? So watch this play here. Obviously, you guys are going to see it. Lucas is a really nice job being able to cut off the safety. And you see this hits to the left side for 15 yards. This is a really, really, really good job by Lucas, and here's why. When you look at this play here initially, Lucas, although he has a block on that safety, he's not firing out of here and getting to that safety. What he has to do is he has to fake this to the right. And this is by design. And as he fakes this to the right, not only does it freeze that safety, but then from that point, after he fakes right, he has to sprint to the left and he has to beat that safety to the spot. Think about this. This is a 330-pound offensive lineman going up against a guy that's a 4.44, 40-yard dash safety. That's a safety that's a lot faster than Lucas. But again, this guy's smart. He takes the right angle. He cuts the safety off. He gets in front of it. That's an incredible block once again. And, the freezing element of it is not to freeze the safety. It's to freeze the defensive end. The goal here is if you fake that, the defensive end maybe stops. He puts his hands up a little bit. He starts looking into the backfield. And what that does is that creates a little bit of a wider gap in case the running back needs to bend it back to the inside. So this isn't necessarily to freeze the safety, although in this instance it does end up freezing the safety. But Lucas does a great job with that angle, with, really changing direction and then just kind of getting from, 0 to 100, right? The stop-start quickness. That's a really, really good block right there by Lucas. Phenomenal job. And let's not overlook this guy's pass blocking. Now, he only pass blocked on 19 snaps, but again, the grip strength is really nice by Lucas. When he gets the hands on these defensive ends, he shuts it down, man. And the anchor is really on display. His ability to lock in, hold his blocks, the way he changes direction. Abe Lucas looks to me like a superstar caliber tackle. And, I don't want to say he is a superstar yet. I want to see him next season and kind of how he comes back fully healthy. I think there's some movement things that he'll have to kind of clean up. And again, I think that takes a little bit of time given he had a pretty big knee injury. But in 19 snaps yesterday, and I know it was only 19 snaps, 0 sacks, 0 hits, 0 quarterback pressures, just 0 all across the board in those 19 snaps. So again, just a really nice job by Lucas. And again, the offense by the Seattle Seahawks, there are other guys that are involved in some of these blocks. We won't get into every single one of them, but I will give credit to some guys at the end of this video that I think deserve credit. Another guy that deserves credit, and I think this is more of 2 guys on the defensive line, Demarcus Lawrence as well as Leonard Williams. Both guys deserve so much credit, but we'll start with Demarcus Lawrence because, there was a time when, and keep in mind, I cover the Cowboys on the Football Scout channel as I do the Seattle Seahawks. You know, I create probably 3 to 4 videos a month on the Seahawks, but I do that for the Cowboys as well. And Demarcus Lawrence, a guy that I've covered for the Seahawks for a couple of years at this point, when he signed that 3-year, $42 million contract with the Seattle Seahawks this offseason, Cowboys fans laughed and they said, what an awful contract for the Seahawks. And some Seahawks fans might have said some of the same things as well, but Demarcus Lawrence has been an absolute stud for the Seahawks. You know, Mike McDonald needs guys that are veterans, that are smart, that understand football. Yes, having young players is great, but having these veteran players has really changed this defense. Guys like Ernest Jones, guys like Demarcus Lawrence have really impacted, you know, how much success the Seahawks are having. And again, Demarcus Lawrence, you know, I know he's had these impactful plays in the past, but yesterday he had a bunch of impactful plays again. You know, talk about flipping momentum. And we'll start right here. It's literally the first play of the game. Demarcus Lawrence runs a defensive line game, gets back there to Brock Purdy, hits the quarterback. That changes the momentum, right? First play of the game, you get a hit on the quarterback. To me, this is kind of what you want, right? You want a guy that can get after it. And, you know, Demarcus Lawrence isn't like an elite pass rusher, you know, given he's like 34 years old, but he's still really good. He's still really productive. And really where he shines is going to be in the run game. And I believe this was the first drive that the 49ers had the ball. And it was a 4th and 1, and the 49ers obviously went for it. And you're going to see that the right tackle here is going to try to reach Demarcus Lawrence, and that's not going to happen. Instead, Demarcus Lawrence is going to get his hands right onto this right tackle. He's going to reset the line of scrimmage. There's essentially no gap that develops for this fullback who basically runs this play all the way to the sideline. You know, the thing with this play that we have to think about is this is a 4th and 1, and the 49ers have never run this play here. They have never run this concept. And the first time they tried running this, Demarcus Lawrence just reads it, right? Like, he's not panicking. He's not jumping inside. He's not confused. He's just reading the tackle in front of him. The tackle tries reaching him. He knows the play's going to his left. And he does a great job with the hands. He does a great job pushing this guy back. There's no lane on this, right? He just kind of sticks in his gap the entire way, all the way down to the sideline. You essentially run out of space. To me, this play right here was a huge momentum flipper for the Seahawks. Keep in mind, they already had the touchdown, a return by Shaheed. First drive, the Niners have the ball. They could have potentially kicked the field goal. Maybe it is a long field goal, but they could have tried, and instead you get that momentum flip. You get not a short possession, but, you know, 60 yards is a lot easier than, you know, starting at like the 20 and having to go 80 yards. So to me, just a really good job by Lawrence. Also, just over the course of this game, the guy had so many impactful plays. You know, he had a strip sack as well late in the game, and the strip sack was really nice as well because he did a great job setting up the tackle. He's essentially going to go to a cross chop, hits the guy to the outside, ends up getting to the quarterback, and then, of course, he strips the ball. Now, the game was over probably at this point, but again, it's just impactful plays, right? Just kind of getting after it. To me, this is what Demarcus Lawrence brings to a team like the Seattle Seahawks. The guy's been consistent this season. He's made a bunch of game-changing plays, especially against the run. The guy's been very solid. And we've talked about Lawrence a couple times this year. But, you know, when you needed him in the biggest game of the season, he steps up and he does it. It wasn't just Demarcus Lawrence. Leonard Williams did a phenomenal job as well. You know, I mentioned that 4th and 1 play in which the fullback of the 49ers had the ball. Demarcus Lawrence obviously blew that fourth down play up. But the 3rd and 1 play right before that, it was Leonard Williams that essentially blew up. Leonard Williams slants to the outside. He basically tosses the tight end, and he's in the backfield like within 1 second. And the running back hits the ball, and he sees Leonard Williams to the running back's left. Leonard Williams absolutely tosses this guy, and then he tries cutting this to the right. And he does that because Leonard Williams is essentially, you know, getting into the backfield. He's beating his block. And that forces Christian McCaffrey to have to cut this to the other side, right? This right here is where the momentum kind of flips, right? These plays is where the momentum flips essentially, right? And Leonard Williams had so many high-quality wins, right? He had so many pressures. He had so many tackles. He was disruptive. He was getting into the backfield. And Williams, we know the type of player he is as well. But, you know, it really shined yesterday. And if you guys don't have the tape, reach out to me on Twitter or whatever, and I'll send the tape to you guys. It's really impressive what some of these guys are able to do. Williams as well as Demarcus Lawrence. Both guys had a bunch of impactful plays. Another really nice momentum flipping play. And, you know, I talked about the Ernest Jones interception. The score when Ernest Jones got his interception was 27-6. But keep this in mind. The field goal before that, right, before the Seahawks went down and kicked the field goal, the score was 24-6. And the reason why the Seahawks got that extra field goal, right, but it was the fact that Leonard Williams made this play right here. So Leonard Williams essentially on a really, really, really nice win, just straight up beats Dominic Pooney with the double hand swipe. 4th and 2, he's going to get to the quarterback. So just to kind of put it into perspective, this 4th and 2 play happened before the Ernest Jones interception. The 4th and 2 play right here where he beats the right guard of the 49ers, that gives the Seahawks a short possession. The 49ers get a 3 and out, and the Seahawks kick the field goal. That's a huge win for the 49ers, right? Given the fact that it's a short possession, you force the field goal, and it's still technically only a 3-possession game, right? You go from 24-6 to 27-6, 3-possession game, and then that's when the Ernest Jones interception happened. And that was why it was such a big moment, just a momentum flip, right? Because the 49ers thought they had a little bit of a chance to potentially win that game, right? But again, Leonard Williams, 4th and 2, just a really, really, really nice win against a pretty good guard. Straight beats him. And, overall, I felt like these guys really did flash, and they did so many things that I think kind of flipped this game. And there's a couple other guys that look really good. I should just credit the entire offensive line, but I want to give specific credit to specific guys. Zabel is turning into an absolute dominant left guard. And I'm not using the word dominant lightly. I'm not using it lightly. The guy is a absolute stud, man. The guy just so many nice run reps where he just kind of flips the entire momentum. He'll have a guy in the 3 technique whose entire job is to, essentially contain the B gap. This guy will just reach this guy super easily and effortlessly. And for Clint Kubiak to design these outside zone runs, guys like Zabel have to make that reach block. Without those blocks, the plays don't work. And yesterday, the Seahawks dominated on the ground, right? And keep in mind, a lot of short possessions, so not a lot of yards to have gained. But the Seahawks still dominated, right? They put up 41 points. Zabel had so many nice reps. And another guy, Amari Kight, huge shout out to the left tackle. He came in for Charles Cross yesterday. And the guy actually looked pretty good yesterday. And what's crazy about Amari Kight is this guy was at the Hula Bowl last year. And if you guys don't know this, I scout for the Hula Bowl. At least I did the last year. I'm not doing that this year. But I was a scout for the Hula Bowl last year, and I was at the Hula Bowl practice week. I spent a bunch of time with all these different players. And, I saw so much of like the insight with some of these guys. And Amari Kite's a really, really, really good person. But more than that, the guy was actually really good at the Hula Bowl. And I'm surprised he was a UDFA. This guy came in yesterday, and he had one really nice key block that ended up being, I believe it was a touchdown to the left side. Really impressive block by him on that one. But, the good thing with guys like Amari Kight is if a guy like Charles Cross goes down, or if Abe Lucas ends up going out, this guy can step in and play either of those positions. And I think for the Seahawks, that's huge to be able to have guys like that. So huge shout out to Kight. I don't think he played left tackle in any meaningful game this season. Definitely not any game like last night, right? I know he came in a little bit as like that extra offensive lineman. But a huge shout out to Kight, Zabel, phenomenal game. And Sam Darnold as well. The guy was hurt. He had a really clean and productive game as well. Devon Witherspoon. And we'll talk about him just a little bit more because the guy played 51 snaps. And I would make the argument this guy had one of the more impactful games yesterday in terms of like the secondary, right? Because we know Lawrence and Jones and Williams all had great games. But Devon Witherspoon looked really good yesterday as well. The guy played 51 snaps. He had 6 tackles, 4 stops. If you guys don't know what a stop is basically an impactful tackle for the offense. So let's say it's like a 3rd and 3 and you get a tackle and now it's 4th and 1. That counts as a stop, right? Not just a normal tackle. And you can have 6 tackles and only 4 stops. And that would tell you that 2 of those 6 tackles were not meaningful. 4 of those 6, which is counted as a stop, is meaningful. And talk about meaningful snaps, right? Look at this play right here. This right here is very, very meaningful in my opinion. 3rd down right here. This is a play where for the 49ers, it's 17-0 at this point. Talk about momentum. Talk about being able to flip a game. You're going to actually see that the wide receiver here is going to run this deep curl route. And Brock Purdy's literally looking right at this guy. And Devon Witherspoon gets in the passing lane. So Purdy does not throw this pass because Witherspoon's in the passing lane. Instead, he checks it off to Christian McCaffrey. And once again, Devon Witherspoon gets out there and makes the play. 3rd and 10, you stop Christian McCaffrey 3-4 yards short of picking that first down up. To me, that right there is an incredible play, and that constitutes a stop. 17-0, you're forcing the 49ers to kick a field goal. And this was a pretty good drive by the 49ers. They went all the downfield. That's a huge win for the Seattle Seahawks. To me, these are the type of plays that really flips the game, right? And Devon Witherspoon was really, really, really good yesterday. Not only on this play where he kind of takes away the passing lane and makes the play on Christian McCaffrey, but so many other run plays. This guy was in the backfield. He was blowing it up. He's coming off the edge. He was being aggressive. To me, Devon Witherspoon's one of the best corners in the NFL. And you saw it yesterday on tape. He had a bunch of pass breakups, got his hands on the ball multiple times as well. The guy is really, really, really good. The Seattle Seahawks, really well coached. So many guys are stepping up. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, man. Definitely a different format than how we usually make content. But I do hope you guys enjoy it. This takes a lot longer to make. And the NFL is going to demonetize this given the fact that I'm using tape. Pretty much every one of my videos on the Football Scout channel gets hit with the copyright strike right away. Which is why I've been posting less content on this channel. This video specifically, I'm going to spend 3 to 4 hours, but I love watching football, and the Seattle Seahawks are one of the teams that I cheer for. So enjoy this win, man. The Seattle Seahawks will play the winner of the Bears and Rams game, and I think the Seahawks are better than. I think they have a chance to beat both those teams, right? I think they might be better than both of those teams. So we'll see what ends up happening, man. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time with another video.